You're looking at the full range of the new Burris Fullfield scopes, from the tiny little 2 to 8 by 35 up to the 6 to 24 by 50. It's the first time I've had a full range of scopes together at the same time, and it not only gives us a chance to look at their performance, but also have a bit of a chat about how they relate to each other. In other words, we can have a look at the uses you might put each one to. Burris has been building full-field rifle scopes since 1975, and to celebrate the 50th anniversary, they released these 5th generation models. The design has continued to evolve over half a century, but there's one thing that hasn't kept pace with it, and that's the price, which has seemingly lagged behind. So they're cheap, but as we'll see in a tick, they're far from nasty. And they also come with Burris's forever warranty, which basically means the scope will be repaired or replaced if a manufacturing fault shows up at any time in the future. That combination of price and guaranteed quality has a lot to do with the fact that these scopes are made in the Philippines. For this new Fullfield series, Burris has made them shorter, lighter and stronger, and definitely more striking in design with their stumpy little objective housings. The Fullfields have been condensed. Part of this is because of Burris's improved erector system, which permits the scopes to be shorter overall without sacrificing the range of magnification. Admittedly, the erector ratio of 4 times is relatively modest these days, but it certainly covers the crucial ground for hunting scopes. Burris has created new turrets too, what it calls the Burris Knob Synergy System, or BKS, because everything's got to have an acronym, and it's another aspect that brings the new line right up to date with current rifle scope technology. There are several different knob types, which we'll look at as we work through the range in a moment, and they're all interchangeable from scope to scope, meaning that you can always upgrade one if you don't like the one you've got. Better still, you can order a custom turret, engraved to suit the ballistic profile of your rifle and ammunition. It'll come back from Burris marked with specific ranges, and you just have to dial in and take the shot. The Fullfields also have new reticles, and you can opt for illuminated ones in some cases. The ones I sampled here with a simple plex with the thicker outer bars coming most of the way in towards the middle. It's really good for aiming small. There's a ballistic plex which has 3 holdover graduations marked down the bottom post, which is a useful feature for shots that go beyond your rifle's point blank range. And the E3 ballistic reticle, which has a range of MOA based marks to help you estimate holdover and windage on the fly. The E3 is useful without being overly complex, and I actually really liked it. The Fullfield scopes sort of come in pairs, and the first two are the little terriers of the range, the very compact 2 to 8 by 35 and the stepped up 2.5 to 10 by 42. Both of these have 1-inch main tubes and capped standard adjustment knobs. The little 2 to 8 by 35 weighs only 380 grams and is just over 24 centimetres long. It's tiny. I gave it a run on my scout rifle, which I've always favoured for close range work, and its noticeably wider field of view was easily the best for fast target acquisition and close hunting. The view is about 18 metres wide at 100 metres, or more to the point, wide enough to quickly get onto a pig that's, say, 20 metres away. I'd also rate it for use on a rimfire. The only caveat I'd put on this one is that its very short tube makes it less forgiving of where your rings are set, so getting eye relief just right might be a bit harder. If you want a little bit more magnification, the 2.5 to 10 by 42 gives it to you without adding very much size or weight at all. There's barely any difference, less than 60 grams and about 2 centimetres. It's a versatile thing. Both the smaller scopes have decent low light performance with minimum exit pupils of about 4.5 millimetres, meaning your eye will receive plenty of light until about halfway through twilight when it's on maximum magnification. And you won't have to dial back very far to get an exit pupil bigger than your eye can take advantage of. These both have their parallax focus fixed at about 100 metres. The next pair are the 3 to 12 by models, which also have fixed parallax at 100 metres. I've come to think of 3 to 12 scopes as being an excellent choice for all-round hunting, at least in anything that has a 4-fold erector ratio. It's the sweet spot, with enough wide-angle view at the low end of the scale and plenty of magnification up at 12 times. Now true, varmints and long-range hunters benefit from greater magnification at times, but any regular hunter who says they need more is having a lend of themselves. Now the smaller 3 to 12 Burris has a 42mm objective lens, just like the 2.5 to 10 by 42. The low light performance of those two is very similar, except of course that as you wind up the 3 to 12 past 10 times, the image won't be quite as bright. Anything less than that though, and there's no advantage to either. However, the 3 to 12 by gives you just a bit more range at the expense of close range width, and your hunting terrain should dictate which suits you better. Even though the 3 to 12 by 42 is about 1.5 centimetres longer than the 2.5 to 10, it's a few grams lighter, but really they're virtually twins. The 3 to 12 by 56 is the king of the Fullfields when the sun dips out of sight. Its lovely big objective lens results in the biggest exit pupil of all. This is the scope I used most out of all 6 of them because it's the ultimate all-rounder with the most versatile range of magnification and the greater ability to accurately aim in first and last light. My preference with this scope would be to opt for an illuminated reticle to ensure you can really maximise its advantages. This one does weigh more than any other Fullfield. Still, to put that into perspective, we're talking less than 550 grams, which makes it one of the lightest scopes in its class. It makes the transition to a 30mm main tube as opposed to the 1-inch tube that's on the 3 to 12 by 42. Let's clear up one thing. The bigger tube does not mean more light transmission. What it does is permit Burris to build in a larger reticle adjustment system with more reticle movement. This makes the difference between the 42mm version's 70 MOA of total adjustment and the bigger one's 93 MOA. That's for both elevation and windage, and it's the greatest variation across the entire Fullfield range by a fair margin. It's an advantage a few people might appreciate, but you'll probably opt for one of the advanced turret knob systems to make the most of it. Which brings us to the 2 biggest Fullfields, the 4 to 16 by 50 and the 6 to 24 by 50. Both of them have advanced knobs, as well as adjustable parallax through a side-mounted dial, making it obvious that Burris intends these for longer shots. Let's start with the biggest one. There's only one format for the 6 to 24 by 50 scope. It comes with advanced exposed knobs and with the E3 ballistic reticle. There was no doubt that I would fit this scope to my varmint rifle to shoot small targets a long way away. This Burris is beaut in the long-range role. The exposed turrets allow quick elevation and windage changes as required, and the click values are bang on the advertised quarter MOA, as well as being utterly consistent in returning to 0. In a budget scope, that's very impressive. And I'll add here that while zeroing the other scopes, I noticed the same thing, even if I didn't test it to the same degree as I did in this one. The clicks are so tactile, they're very easy to count, but the etched markings are also dead easy to read and line up. The 0 stop is simple to set too. The adjustable parallax makes a real difference in finding sharp focus at your target no matter what the range is. I can't believe, frankly, that this scope only costs $700. Its precision and quality belie the price. The 4 to 16 by 50 comes with a choice of several reticles, including an illuminated E3. Its 1-inch tube gives a slightly limited range of adjustment compared to the 6 to 24 and its 30mm tube, but few of us are really going to need more than the 52 MOA that it does have. That's plenty for all but extreme long-range hunting. The 4 to 16 has the advanced capped knobs, which makes it perfect for a walk-around hunting scope because you'll never accidentally move them off 0. If you do want to settle in and dial up for a long-range shot, you can assume that you'll probably have the few seconds necessary to remove the caps before making corrections. Underneath the caps, except for the shape, these knobs are exactly the same as the easily adjusted 0-stop design on the exposed version. This is the scope I'd have for stalking in open country on a rifle chambered in a powerful flat shooting calibre like one of the modern Magnums. And I know that ammunition is expensive, but if you balk at the cost of it, just think of how much more of it you can afford if you bought a Burris like this instead of a much more expensive scope. This one will do the job very well. And you can be confident in that statement for a few reasons. All of the Fullfields are of course waterproof and fog-proof with an IPX7 exposure rating. The lenses are multi-coated, and I found the optics to be consistent across the whole range in terms of both their quality and their performance. But this is Burris's entry-level range, so the optics aren't quite as good as you get in, say, the excellent Veracity range, where Burris really shows its hunting mettle. There's some distortion as you get closer to the edge of the view, but you never really notice it when you're fixed on the crosshairs where the view is sharp as a tack. Light transmission doesn't appear to be as high as it is in more expensive scopes, with some greying of the colours in dull conditions. It's only in the more challenging conditions that you notice these things, and otherwise colour rendition, contrast and clarity are really good. And I can't be too critical of these scopes when I consider the prices they come at. The Fullfields are very well made, which is something reinforced by the consistency with which everything operated and performed across the whole 6 scopes that I tested. You really wouldn't know that these were budget scopes. If you can't afford to spend a lot on your optics, or you just don't want to, I reckon you should have a really good look at them. You'll find specs and Aussie prices on our website, as well as on the Beretta Australia website.